Good morning, third graders. This is Miss Sowards here to do your video this morning. I'm just so excited to get to teach you a little bit and show you how much I love and miss you, and I really can't wait until we can see each other again. I'm going to be doing your math video this morning, and we have been talking about area and perimeter over the last few weeks since we've been in our NTI days. And today we're going to do a little bit of review over that and make sure that we know and we can check that off that we are masters at that. And I know that we are, because in our Zoom videos we've been doing really good about showing what we know and just rocking it. And we are so proud of you for that. So let's do a little bit of review before we get into today. And everything that we have learned up to this point is going to connect to today's lesson. And I know that you guys are going to just rock at it like we always do. Okay, so we're going to start out with talking about our perimeter. So a few weeks ago, we did our lessons on perimeter, and we learned how to find that. And so when we first started talking about it, we learned that we had to find the sides of the figure. So when we first started, we had all the sides given to us. But then when we got better at it, we got sides missing, and we had to figure out how to do that. So I'm going to check and see how good that you paid attention and see if you can help me remember how to do that this morning. All right. So here is our first shape for today. And I have a rectangle here, and I know that it's a rectangle and not a square because I see that two lengths are different. And when I have a square, all my sides are equal. So in this rectangle, I have one side length that is 6 inches and one side length that is 4 inches. And when we talked about rectangles, we learned that rectangles are special because their opposite sides are equal. So I want you to pause my video, and I want you to draw out this rectangle here, and I want you to put the missing lengths in before I do. So pause me and fill that in. And I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to fill my sides in. So if I say the top of my rectangle is 6 inches, I know that the opposite is going to be the same. So my bottom side is going to be 6 inches also. And I know if one side over here is 4 inches, then my opposite of it is going to be 4 inches also. Alright, so now I have all of my side lengths ready to go, and I can actually find my perimeter of my shape now. So I know that when I'm finding perimeter, that I have to do what? How do I find perimeter? I want you to pause my video every time I ask you a question, and then I want you to make sure that you know the answer to it. And if you do know the answer to it, at the end of the video, leave a comment on your Google Classroom and let me know if there was any questions that you didn't know the answer to and you missed it at first and you still didn't understand. Okay, so when I find my perimeter, I have to add all my sides up. That's how we do that one. So when I find the perimeter of this rectangle, I'm going to add 6 plus 6, and I know 6 times 2 is 12, and then I'm going to do 4 plus 4, or 4 times 2, and I know 4 times 2 is 8. So when I add my sides up, I get 2 plus 8 is 10, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So I have 20 inches is my perimeter. So 20 inches is my perimeter for this figure. And I'm sure that we have really done a lot of practice on this, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. And I know that when we've been doing our calls, you've been rocking it. So let's move on to the next thing that we talked about. So we know perimeter, we check it off, we're good at that, we're rock stars. But we also have to talk about area. So we're going to use this same figure so that we don't have to find our side lengths again, and we'll just work with this problem we have here. So in order to find my area, I have to do something. I have to multiply my length times my width. L times W. So I'm not going to multiply all these numbers because I only need the two that I started with. 6 times 4. And I know that 6 times 4 is 24 because we've memorized our math facts and we are awesome at that. So it's 24 inches. But area is different than perimeter because we have to say inches squared or inches squared. And we've learned about that a little bit over the past couple of weeks. So now we found the perimeter and the area. And we've done this over the past couple of weeks, so we're really getting familiar with it, and we're starting to just rock it. So now we're going to talk about something a little bit different, and we're going to kind of go back to around Christmas time. And around Christmas time, we talked about fractions. And we had some trouble with fractions, but let's look back and see what we can remember about our fractions. So I'm going to give you an example here. If I have a circle pie, it's going to be a pie here. It's not that great, I'm not that good of an artist. But I have a pie, and I'm going to make my pie have 4 pieces to it. Okay? And if I eat one piece of my pie, what would I call this piece of the pie in a fraction? If I ate this piece that's colored in, I already ate it, what would this piece be? What fraction? So pause me, I want you to write it down just to check your work here. This should be 1/4 of the pie. And all these others should be 1/4 also. Each one of them are 1/4. And what I notice about this pie is that when I add 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, I get 1 whole. Because if I ate all of my pie up, if I ate 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, or 1 whole, I ate the whole pie. I was really hungry. So I have the whole pie eaten, and that would be 1 whole. So I know that we should be able to do that, and we're going to do some more practice with that because it's been a little while since we've done practice with fractions, okay? So here is what we're going to do today. I want you to find a piece of paper and do with me what I'm about to do. If you don't have a piece of paper right near you, it's okay, and you can do it later. But I just want to kind of let you do it with your own hands so that it makes sense to you, okay? So today we're going to go into talking about our area that we've already talked about and our fractions. And we're going to try to think how to find equal parts. So if I have this whole sheet of paper here, what can I do to find equal parts, to separate my piece of paper? Well, if I want to separate it into 4 parts, 4 equal parts, that's the key word there, equal, which means the same. Not different, but the same. So I have my piece of paper here. And if I fold it in half, you can fold yours with me too. Fold it in half, and then I can open it back up, and let's make sure. I have 2 pieces, right? You see my crease here? I have 1 piece and 2 pieces. Okay? But I want 4 pieces, so I'm going to have to fold it again. So I folded it like this. Now I'm going to fold it in half this way. Hamburger style, if you've heard that before. So now if I open it back up, let's see how many pieces I have. Okay, now when I open my piece of paper up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So now let's go back to thinking about our pie. If we're thinking about our pie, we had 4 pieces of our pie, and when we ate 1, that was called 1/4. So that's what this means the same thing as. So each one of these is going to be 1/4 also. I see that this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, and this is 1/4. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take scissors if we have our scissors near us, and we're going to cut along our creases here, and we're going to see if all our pieces were equal. We're going to test it just to make sure that Miss Sowards isn't crazy and she didn't just make that up. So you see my 1/4 here, 1/4. All right, so now I've got all of my 1/4 pieces. And look, they're all the same. When I put them together and put them in a stack, you can't even tell I have 4 pieces here. They're all the same. So I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, or 1 whole piece of paper. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to show you one more important thing. Okay, all right. So the other thing is that when I fold this piece of paper here, like this, I can do something different. And I can fold it in half this way and then fold it hot dog style. And I get 4 pieces that way. So that means that I have 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4 that way too. So what this is trying to show you here is that 1/4 can be represented in different ways with your shape. So you can divide it however you want to, as long as they're all equal, okay? All right, so now I want you to get your workbook page out, 14.9. I have it taped here to my board. And I know it's not on your sheet because I didn't have your sheet here with me. But I rewrote it out and it should be the exact same as your reteaching side. And we're going to do that part together, okay? All right. So if we look at our, trying to find my marker, there we go. If we look at our number 1, it tells us that we're going to divide these shapes into 4 equal parts, and we're going to do it 2 different ways. Not the same way, but we have to do different ways. All right, so 4 equal parts. So I can divide in half, we know, because we just did it with our piece of paper. And then I can divide that in half too. So does that equal 4 equal parts? Well, looks like it to me. But the way to check is to say 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So we're good. And the other way I did it, that I divided it, was I went in half and then in half again. And look, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, we know that that was right already. So now I have 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. That are all the area of 4. So there's 2 different ways that we can separate it. And my question says, what is the fraction that represents each part? Well, we said that that was 1/4. Okay? And then it says, what is the area of each part? Well, we counted our squares, and when we counted our squares, we got 4 units squared. So we should have gotten 4 units squared there. And let's look at our last one. We have 6 equal parts here. So how can we find 6 equal parts? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows here. So I know I could do it like this one, and I could separate it into 6 different rows. Let's make sure you all can see what I'm doing here. All right, I can separate it 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, and 6 rows. Okay? So each row is the same. If I color this in, look, each row is the same as that. All right, but now I want to do it a different way, so I have to really think, and I can think about my last problem, because when I divided this one into 4 equal parts, even though it was different ways, both of the areas were 4. So now I see that it's going to have to be 2 over here. So the only way that I can divide this one, because I don't have 6 columns like I had 6 rows. So I'm going to have to count. 1, 2, okay, that would be 1. 1, 2, 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 that would be 1. And 1, 2, that would be 1. So let's count and see how many parts that was. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're both with an area of 2. So you'll answer your question down here, what is the area of each part? This one was 2 units squared. And what is the fraction that represents each part? And we had 6 parts, so it would be 1/6. So that should be your reteaching side. If you have any questions on this assignment, you're going to do the practice side of it for your work for today. If you have any questions at all, just message myself or Miss Goodman. Just leave us a comment on your Google Classroom, and we'll talk later on the Zoom so you can let me know if you understood what to do there. Thank you guys so much for watching the lesson this morning, and I hope you have a fabulous day.